Hey guys, welcome to the Rotus review where if you love movies, this show is for you. Today, we're not reviewing one film, we're reviewing two movies. Ha! But never fear, unlike the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, we will not be biting off more than we can chew. Before we continue, let me whet your appetite by telling you about our sponsor for today's show. Now, I hope you are not hungry because there's a chance that you might bite your computer or your phone after seeing these tongue-tasty treats from Food Fashion Fusion. Located right here in Lagos, Food Fashion Fusion is like the Oscars of culinary arts. Using color and culture, Food Fashion Fusion produces extraordinary everyday food. Their variety of yummy baked goods and savory food choices will bless your office functions, dinner parties, or just brighten up your day. So to get your FFF experience, do go to their website at www.foodandfashionfusion.com or visit them on Instagram at foodfashionfusion. So, the two movies that we're going to be looking at today are about bravery and sacrifice. The first one is The Magnificent Seven. And guys, right now, I'm picturing 7 Nigerian superheroes with special powers of a lack of coordination and planning that are going to pull us out of our recession. Boys and girls, can you say Nobel Prize in Economics? Okay, now, The Magnificent Seven stars Denzel Washington, who leads a gang of sharpshooters that liberalize a village from a strong man played by Peter Sarsgaard. Some of those guys include Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, and a number of others. The appealing thing about The Magnificent Seven is the diversity of the cast. This movie was set in the 19th century and is led by a black man. There's also a Latino, there is an Asian, there's a Native American. It's a very, very good mix, and one of the big differences from this movie from the others that were made back in 1960. Speaking of which, this movie is a remake of a remake. The first remake, as I just said, was made in 1960 and it's the exact same name, The Magnificent Seven, but everybody there was white. Now, that movie was a remake of The Seven Samurai, which was released in 1954 and is a Japanese film. Now, this movie is action-packed, it is intense, and it gives the audience exactly what we're looking for as far as spectacle. But as far as the gripes that I have about the film, outside of the diverse cast, there really isn't anything new being offered when you look at this movie in 2016 versus what was released in 1960. Also, another issue is the motivation behind the recruitment techniques of Denzel Washington. Here's an example. You should watch the scene where he goes to recruit Chris Pratt. I was sitting there scratching my head like, why is Chris Pratt joining this group? This is an issue that we talked about when we reviewed Suicide Squad. When you have an ensemble cast with multiple characters, one of the tricky things and the challenges that the director faces, by the way, the director is black, so hey, more diversity, Antoine Fuqua. He worked with Denzel Washington on Training Day. One of the challenges that the director has to face is giving each individual character motivation for why they are blending into the main thing of the movie. And so this movie suffered a bit when it came to that, but it's not as bad as Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was really bad. Go check out the review. So the movie, despite that challenge, this was still a lot of fun. I enjoyed it very much, and I encourage you guys to go check out The Magnificent Seven. I give it 3 stars out of 5. And by the way, go check it out at Silverbird Cinemas. They were very generous to the Rotus review, gave us free tickets to go check out the film. And has anyone noticed that Silverbird Cinemas popcorn has gotten really fresh nowadays? So go check out the film at Silverbird Cinemas. The Magnificent Seven gets, again, 3 out of 5 stars. So our next film is 93 Days from Nollywood. 93 Days is about the Ebola outbreak that gripped Nigeria in 2014. A very, very harrowing experience for everyone, including myself. I was bathing in hand sanitizer during that time. Now, it is directed by Steve Gushes and it stars Bimbo Akintola, who plays the national hero and late physician Ameyo Adadevo, who was instrumental in preventing the very first case of Ebola, which was brought into the country by Patrick Sawyer, the Liberian-American diplomat, from leaving her hospital too early and thereby possibly infecting a whole lot of other people. Now, in case you're wondering, 93 days is the timeline between when the first case was discovered in Nigeria and when the World Health Organization finally declared Nigeria Ebola-free. The movie, like I said, is directed by Steve Gushes. It also stars Tim Reed and Danny Glover in quite possibly the most unconvincing Nigerians I've ever seen played by African Americans. I mean, if you thought that Will Smith's accent in Concussion was bad, that's not going to prepare you for these two guys. I mean, they were pretty bad. Now, the movie also stars Gideon Okeke and Somkele Idamola. Remember her? She was in the last movie that we reviewed on the show, which was The Arbitration. She played a lawyer there, but this time she is a doctor. This movie is a hard-hitting film. I mean, it is up close and personal and shows the suffering that people went through that were affected by the virus. Now, we all know how the movie ends, all right? This is based on true events. So the trick here was how well Steve Gushes, the director, could not only portray the events accurately, but also give us a different take and tell us the story from the perspective of the medical professionals that dealt with the virus. Now, this has to be said. In a time like this, when you have a virus that is deadly and killing people, medical professionals who put their lives on the line are no different from soldiers at war that are protecting the rest of us. Now, that being said, the acting could have been better. I mean, outside of the established stars that I've already mentioned, the supporting staff, they weren't very good. They could have been a little better. Like I said, Tim Reed and Danny Glover, they dragged the movie down. I'm watching Danny Glover and I'm thinking to myself, Olu Jacobs would have killed this role. He would have been a much better choice to have played the role of Danny Glover. And also the writing could have been better. I mean, there could have been a little more intensity and a little more fear factor. Like the 1995 movie Outbreak. That movie was also dealt with a virus outbreak. Very scary, heart racing. They could have upped the fear factor a little more. But still, this movie was very, very necessary. I mean, I was talking about this with a number of other people last year or 2 years ago when it happened. They have to chronicle the events because it gripped the nation. But again, Nigeria did very, very well. Our authorities, I know I make a lot of fun of our leaders and everything, but they did very well in handling and containing this virus as quickly as they could. It was one of the highlights of 2014. So I give the movie 3 stars out of 5, but I encourage everyone to go see the film. It's also very emotional when you think about the loss of life and the other people that were affected by those that they lost. So check out the film, 93 Days. It's playing now in theaters everywhere across the country. Go see it. All right, before we go, we've got feedback from you guys out there that watch the show. We appreciate this very much. Please keep sending in your comments. Let's take a look at what some of you are saying. Aroma Selle says, cool stuff. Can you kindly share your thoughts on X-Men Apocalypse? Now, I didn't quite like the film, but we haven't done a review. We're going to start doing retro reviews on the Rotus Review, and we're going to take a look at X-Men Apocalypse. Thank you so much, Aroma Selle, for sending this in. Vivienne Maurice, she saw Suicide Squad. She says, spot on, or should I say, Deadshot review. If you don't catch the reference, check out the review. It'll make sense. But this was pretty clever, Vivian. She says, P.S. BVS, which is Batman vs. Superman, was worse in my opinion. Unfortunately, I can never recover the time spent watching it. Now, in the review for Suicide Squad, I said it was, in my opinion, the worst superhero movie released this year because Batman vs. Superman was also released in the same year, this year, 2016. So, Vivian, I disagree with you. I love Batman vs. Superman. I've seen that movie, I don't know, 5, 6 times. And, we're also going to do a retro review for that one of these days. But thank you for sending in your comments. But we are in disagreement. I love Batman vs. Superman. Also, Henry Emeka Okoji says, now you have succeeded in saving me the hard-earned money I would have spent at the cinema. Thanks, Rotus. No. Henry, no. We're not in the business of putting the cinemas out of business. I need you to go to the cinemas, check out the film, and give me your feedback. He was also reacting to Suicide Squad. Guys, I didn't really like that movie at all. So check out the review if you haven't seen it. Benedict Udoka says, interesting. And also, okay, we have our first negative comment, which is cool. All feedback is welcome on the Rotus review. This is from Sheshan Onasa. He says, "You clearly don't understand a thing about movies." Now, for context, he's referring to our very first review, Alice Through the Looking Glass. Do go back and check that out on YouTube. Rotus Review 1. That was a very good one. You clearly don't understand a thing about movies. Saying Disney just handpicked James Bobbins, who is the director, is utter crap. James Bobbins is one of the most deserving directors. His work on Flights of the Conchord, a show I'm certain you know nothing about, is amazing. The first Muppets movie was a knockout critically and commercially. The second was still good and charming. Also, not mentioning Rick Famuyiwa's Dope, a job which got him the Flash, further shows your lack of insight. FYI, the Burton-Depp combination has been, he uses a curse word, after Sweeney Todd. The only good movie Tim directed was Frankenweenie. Go and get yourself right. Whew, okay, that was a long one. Lots to unpack here. Okay, first of all, Session, on James Bobbin being picked, I was talking about his CV as far as film is concerned. So I didn't mention Flights of the Conchord because, as you should know, it was cancelled after just 2 seasons, so it wasn't a very good show. Also, the Muppets movies were all he did. He only had 2 films. That was it. So I had to highlight that when I was talking about Disney picking him compared to the director for the first film. Also, with regards to Rick Famuyiwa and not mentioning Dope, Dope was a movie that not a lot of people had heard about. I preferred to pick a movie that everybody knew about, which was Brown Sugar, which is why I mentioned that film. But hey, look, as far as the Burton-Depp combo, they've made a lot of money. They've been working together for a long time. They have chemistry, and that is what I was trying to highlight by mentioning the fact that they've been working together for so long. And I thought that Disney should have stuck with Tim Burton to make that film. Again, guys, go check out our very first review of Alice Through the Looking Glass to get the context for what Session is talking about. Session, I appreciate your comments. Guys, thank you so much for your feedback. Please send more. Thank you so much for watching the Rotus review. Remember, send your comments at the bottom of the screen after watching the review. Also, hit me up on Twitter at Rotankwot, ROTANKWOT. And most importantly, please, to save the Naira, click on the button and subscribe to the show. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Remember, please keep watching the movies. Rotus review, over and out.